Hello everyone, welcome to Unicorn Light Tarot. I sincerely hope everybody's doing amazingly well today, this evening, whenever you click onto this video. So today we will be getting you some enchanted messages from the fairy realm, but I thought what we could do is, for those of you who have been here with me for a little while, then you know this, and for those of you who have just clicked on, welcome, welcome. We always do point out that we have a healing candle here, and these sessions work on a healing activation, whatever it is that you need from the reading. So I have dressed this as always with some healing oil that I made under the full moon. But I thought what we could do today is do the intention together to align our energy and our strength with this reading coming up. So all the details are down below, so if you want to skip this part, you're welcome to go to the piles where we will actually be reading. But if you're interested in doing a little energy work here to align your energy, and to perhaps, if you choose to make this reading that's coming up a little bit more personal to you, because of course they're general readings, then stick around. So as we said before, we have this healing oil. Now I don't know if you can see, it's a little bit brown. This is a white candle. I added some cinnamon to this. And when you add cinnamon to either yourself or your spell work or your intention work, it gives a little bit more confidence, and you're bringing in more success and beauty, love, luck, all of that stuff. And because we're going to be working with the fairies today, I brought in a shiny object here. The sunlight is coming through, so hopefully you can see that. So we're going to put the shiny object up here as we call in our fairies, and then I have some organic beautiful rosebuds here and rose petals. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put these rose petals all around here as we call in our beautiful fairy folk to go ahead and work with us. That's wonderful. So I'm going to light the candle with you guys here, and we're just going to sit for a minute and watch the flame. And what I want you to do, if you feel called to, is look into the flame, and you can set the intention for the upcoming reading. You can ask a question in your mind. Whatever feels right to you, you can either release what no longer serves you, or you can ask a specific question that you want to find the answer to, or if you want to find peace or luck or harmony, you can put out the intention to find that within our reading coming up. And as we do that, we will call in our fairy folk too. And I'm just going to do the Choku Ray here to give it a little extra power for Reiki. And we're also going to ground your energy into the ground, send the roots right into the center of the earth, Mother Earth, right there to Mother Gaia. And as we do that, we can align your energy into this reading. And again, feel free to use this session, this little intro, any way that you want. Anything that you're looking to find out, any signs of peace, or again, any specific memories or questions, answers to your questions, put it out there to your guides today and for the fairy folk, and see if it comes up in your readings. Normally when you ask a question, it might come up in a way that the answer may come up in an unconventional way, but more often than not, if not every single time, you get an answer. So let's just breathe deeply and send your roots again right down into the ground, and breathe deeply, letting go of anything or any energy that you no longer need, and align your energy with the fairy folk as we move into your reading. Keep breathing deeply, and thank you for joining us for this introduction. We will be going into your piles 1, 2, and 3 momentarily. Keep breathing and aligning your energy. Okay, see you soon. Bye-bye. Hello everyone, welcome to Unicorn Light Tarot. Today we are getting your messages, your channeled messages from the enchanted fairy realm. So we have our healing candle with our cinnamon here, bringing in good luck and success and confidence. And we also have our shiny object and our rosebuds to bring in our beautiful fairy folk and their messages today. We have the sunlight pouring in, so hopefully it's very, very bright right now. Mother Nature is definitely controlling the lighting for this session here, for these readings, so I hope you can see. So we have 3 piles as usual, and of course welcome everybody, for those of you who are brand new and for those of you who are returning, welcome one and all. So we have a couple of the tarot cards. These are the Fairy Tarot, and then we have another type of tarot at the bottom. I believe it's Green Witchcraft Tarot at the bottom. And then we'll be working with some other oracle cards also for each of your readings. So for each of the piles, we have this fairy dust. Beautiful little oracle enchanted messages here. So the first message is family. I'm just going to read to you just the title of the card, and we'll get into it later on. So whichever one feels right to you, it could be just an inkling, or the actual energy of the pile, or number 2 says practice, or the fairy oracle here on the top that's drawing you in. Whichever pile you choose, I'm sure will be right for you. And then we have pile 3, and it says peace. So those are your piles. So as always, all the links are down below, all the timestamps. And if you were with us for the introduction, then we already aligned our energy with this reading. If not, that's totally fine. It'll all work out anyway, as everything always does, right? So let's go ahead and move these to the side and get right into your reading here. So for those of you who chose pile 1, you chose the oracle, the fairy dust oracle that said family, and underneath it says, wherever you go, whatever you do, your family is here for you. And as we know, that of course could mean blood family, but also could mean soul family too. So take that as you will. That could be the theme for this reading. We'll see when we get in there. So again, your enchanted messages from the fairy realm. So let's go ahead and get you those messages. So the first one that you have is the Queen of Summer, the Queen of Cups here. Loving, comforting, emotional, intuitive. Listen to your heart. Intuitive insights you can trust. Taking care of others, perhaps too much. That's your first card here. And then we have the Princess of Winter, the Princess of Swords reversed. And it says information that can help you, but may also be difficult to hear. Speaking the truth with kindness, an indigo child or adult. And then we have the 4 of chalices, your 4 of cups here. So you've got some cups energy, emotionality here. So the first message that we're getting for you is to definitely open up to hear what it is that you need to hear. Now, it feels as though a lot of you are not necessarily feeling stuck. These are general messages, but a lot of you are feeling a little bit lost, or feeling as though you're waiting for the next thing to happen, or you're that feeling that you're in a cycle of waiting for the external to take place so your life can take off, or that things can make sense. And it's totally understandable, considering what we're going through in the world. Of course, it seems it is very chaotic, one way or another. But your messages are to, if you can, we say enlighten up, lighten up. Everything that you seek is actually there for you right now. It's just a matter of where you look. Grounding into your own energy, and again, really feeling into who you are and your emotionality. Um, a lot of you are empaths, but that's beyond and the emotionality that that other people feel. Some of you could be very highly sensitive, which means that if this applies to you, um, then you're like 20%, I think, of the population. And it goes beyond just being an empath, not just being an empath is a lot. It goes beyond being an empath, and it goes beyond um, this understanding of how you work in the world, and being emotional or having emotionality. It's being sensitive, incredibly sensitive to your environment, loud noises, and processing information. It's been proved at this point that highly sensitive people actually process information very differently. Now, they can be extremely creative and in many ways brilliant. And they're only 20% of the population. Now, I don't know what the population is for empaths, but I don't know, off the top of my head, I'd say half the world are empaths one way or another. Um, so you're on the next level of being an empath. Now, this can be beautiful, and it also can seem like a curse for the situations that we're going in right now, which are rather high chaos. The way in which you process information can seem as though you're in a darker place than you are, and that's totally understandable. That's why we're here to give you support today and lighten you up. All of the answers that you seek are absolutely there. They really are. It's just that the way in which your mind works, the conventional ways to, some of you might even be feeling like normally um, you can sort of meditate and at least get a little bit of peace or a little bit of peace of mind um, from meditation. But some of you who are meditating, you find as though everything's coming up and you're not even able to meditate. Well, that's the way, again, you can use your time to your own advantage. Instead of meditating and trying to clear your mind completely within like a 20-minute meditation, I urge you we urge you to use it in a little bit of a different way. If you have the 20 minutes and you are meditating, instead of trying to make your mind blank, allow in everything that comes in and just see it fall away. Now, what will happen for you in this meditation session is that a lot of information will come in and it will seem quite overwhelming. But in that space that you've given yourself, if you don't put any pressure on yourself to do things conventionally, because the one thing that you don't do, Part One, is do things conventionally. And what you're really learning at the heart of who you are right now is the way in which you did things before no longer necessarily work. But you're not quite in tune with a brand new way of how you're going to be working. So you might feel a little bit lost. But as you're meditating, what will happen is it will be sort of a gate opening and an influx of all this information, which may seem very, very overwhelming, but you'll be able to see that all this information will actually come together. And as it does, it will make more sense for you. And as it makes more sense, you'll be able to relinquish it and release it. So you can use meditation sessions in a little bit of a different way, sort of in the opposite way. Instead of trying to allow your mind to go blank and allow in the information and just not do anything with it, you can actually bring in the information, invite in the information, and it will sort of solve itself in a way. Neurons fire. Oh, that means that. Oh, I'm feeling that, but oh, okay. And you'll find a lot of sort of these aha moments in that sort of meditation moments, and then you will feel freer when you come out of that. Also remembering, and I've said this recently in some of the readings that have been coming up for 2021, the beginning of it seems chaotic, but we promise you this too shall pass. There is peace coming. This is the last part of this sort of what we need to work with in the world, all these big themes coming to a head obviously. So this too shall pass. Again, really cutting the course to the external world, what we call the 3D world. But we're not going to go into 3D and 5D here, because sort of beyond any of that now, in many ways, that the concepts of it, because whoever has agreed to move forward in the light has been doing that, and you are living where, in your mindset, it's very much what you choose at this point. And those of you, and you are part of this, who have ascended and have chose to ascend, the 5D world is definitely available to you. You are in fact living in it, but there's a part of you that's still living out the 3D, that's still living out what we call the matrix. And that's totally fine too, because there's still aspects of that to be ground into who you are, so you can move on fully. So it's really just a matter of grounding into your own energy, and really sort of, as you've closed yourself, some of you have actually closed yourself down in order to protect at this time, which again is totally understandable. Now, if you feel as though you need to do that in order just to make sense of things, we're not going to ask you to do anything more, because for those of you who are highly sensitive, there are practices where one needs to do a certain thing in order to feel as though they are safe. So for those of you who are highly sensitive, and again 20% of the population, you will know that this message is for you. So we're certainly not going to say just open up, everything will be fine. That's perfectly fine for you. We want you to see yourself as a house that's completely safe. Now, if you've shut yourself down for a little time while you try to figure out how to get through all of this chaos and what's going on in the external world, if you can see yourself as a house, then we don't ask you to open up the door, either the door, the front door, or the back door, but open up a window, maybe on the second floor or the attic, and let some light in and let some air into your house. Because what you're doing as you're shutting down, and you're shutting out for protection, which is totally fine, of course you're shutting out also your guides and all these other possibilities that are coming in. And also you're being asked again to think outside of the box. For most of you, you already realize that none of this is working for you, like the way in which you worked in the world before is not going to work for you, and that's fine. And sometimes when you think about approaching something, and the way in which you approached it before, you try to approach it again in that way, but then this anxiety comes up, or this real sort of this feeling of like, I don't want to do it. And that's because your soul is telling you that it's not going to work in that way. It's a brand new way for you to be. A brand new idea is coming in. So it's all about bringing your energy back to self, grounding in your own power, but using that power in a brand new way. Now, there is support for you. And for those of you who are seeking love and soul family, or a firmer connection to that, like not just a physical connection, but an actual firmer connection, whereby you can actually see yourself in another, which is something that you don't always have in this lifetime, because you are a unique soul. You don't always see yourself in another. And that's something that's happened for you. When you see a spark of yourself in another, you tend to want to follow that person and see more what they're like. And you're more inquisitive about that person. And not all of those people in the past were great for you, but that spark was huge for you, because you don't normally see yourself in others. Now you're going to be able to see a lot of yourself in other people coming into your life in 2021. So this essence of family is coming in. Now, if you're not physically in and around them, or if you do have your soul family around you, there will be a deeper connection. For some of you, maybe working in tandem with people in your community and moving through, and you'll get a lot of success and a lot of grounding and a lot of connection, which connects you to your own power through your connection through your environment. This is all coming for you. Now, if you're not physically moving in that direction yet, it is coming, but we're just asking you again to open up that window and open up the idea that true connection is coming in for you while you protect yourself and all of this is going on. So as we do this, we want you to realize that there are people in the physical plane as well as your guides, but there are people on the physical plane who are willing to help you, who are on the sideline. And for some of you, and again, these are always general readings, but for some of you, you've cut them off in a way because you only have a certain amount of energy and you're providing that energy and keeping that energy for yourself. And that's totally fine. It's almost like you realize there's this influx of new information and there's just this new aligning coming in for you. And until you really know what's going on with it, until you have a surer footing, you're sort of pulling yourself out of things for now. That's not intrinsically wrong. That's wonderful. Again, we want to honor where you are, and you know how to handle all of this. This is totally fine. We're just reminding you that if you've chosen to come a little bit out and really sit in where you are, and really have those boundaries up right now, we want you to remember to be easy on yourself. This too shall pass, but it's not going to be as long as you think. We talked about this before, and some of you got in touch and said, going through terror moments, it might feel like that still, but you are coming out of it. Again, this too shall pass. It's just a matter of breathing through it, but there is help should you need it. So you're being asked to trust yourself in a brand new way. Now, a lot of you have not really, how do we say it, earned your own trust insofar as you have impeccable intuition, but you've often gone against it because this spark of recognition in another you've wanted to follow, and then as you followed and got more involved, you realize that these people weren't necessarily great for you, and that could have worked in job situations, with people, maybe even with lovers. So from that experience, you've come to the point where there's an aspect of you that doesn't quite trust yourself. But we want to remind you that that initial spark was totally fine. We totally understand why you would have wanted to follow that person and found out more. And even though you realize your intuition told you there was nothing more to find out, that initial spark was all there is. Even if you still wanted to be with that person, it was that longing for connection that kept you there. So when you're being asked to release yourself from the old, forgive yourself if you have any for forgiving moments where you still haven't forgiven yourself for being in these situations, and understand that you were just looking for connection because you don't see a lot of yourself sort of in the world, because you are highly sensitive. It's totally understandable to get carried away with that spark, right? And even though your intuition may have alerted you to the fact that there was nothing else there, you would have learned lessons from that situation. But you must trust yourself when others are coming in now. Whoever comes in 2021, coming in for you, will be new energy. You've moved out from one sense of karma, from your old karma, into this brand new sense of who you are. Now, you haven't practiced that new sense of who you are in the world yet, but you get an essence of who that is when a situation comes up and you're able to really delineate situation, come back from it and go, all right, I wanted to react that way, but I'm able to come back from it. You have a new sort of profound sense of peace when unnerving events come in and around you in this chaos, in a way that, and dealing with it in a way that you could have, but you don't feel confident or strong enough to go full on into the world. Or the other side of it is, and both of these apply too, the world isn't strong enough right now for you to go in and start implementing where it is and who it is that you are, and that's totally fine. This is somewhat of a respite as the energies that are coming out globally really come. I mean, they've been coming to a head for a while, but they are being sort of accessed and sorted through. So your instinct to sort of stay low is absolutely wonderful here. But we want you to know that there is a lot of support for you, physical support and guide support. And again, get up into that second You could see it as chakras too. If you want to remain with your first and second chakra deeply, firmly into the earth and grounding yourself, that's perfectly reasonable. You can work up and sort of open up a little bit in the higher chakras, particularly your third eye and your throat and heart chakra here, um, and connect to this new energy that is abound and is around you. And also, this is a time for you to come up with these new ideas. Again, practical information. Use that meditation time if you can, 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes a night if you can. If you can only manage 10 minutes and 10 minutes, or just 20 minutes in the evening, that's totally fine. But use that meditation time to allow in all of this old energy. Allow it in and let it sweep over you, because that old energy will come in and around you. And again, you'll be able to make these interactions. You'll be able to have these aha moments from these beautiful interactions that you have within your meditations, and that will be a form of release for you. You don't need to have to do things the way that you did before, or push yourself into a practice that's brand new when it's not solidified yet. This is actually quite an exciting time for you. It doesn't seem as though it is, but a lot of information is coming and being integrated into your soul right now, and this is really, really beautiful information that you need in order to move forward. It's not painful information, but it's information that you can take in that's very, very important. It's information about your past. It's information about your past lives. It's very specific information about where some of your fears have actually come from. And when you trace back those fears, you'll be able to see that some of them, aren't you. Some of them were part of a defense mechanism that you needed at the time, but you no longer need. And that's where you get the chance to sort of unravel a lot of this stuff. And as you unravel, you really will be able to work with your first and second chakra in a brand new foundational way, which which has you moving into the world and integrating in the way that you want to. Now, these are timeless readings, but we are coming up into a new moon this Wednesday. In January 2021. And as we come into February and March, there will be a shift of energy in and around the world, in and around globally. We are coming into that shift, and you are feeling that shift now. Many of you are. It's a matter of stabilizing that energy shift and finding your confidence and your beauty within that shift. So let's see what else we have for you here. I'm going to do the numerology, get you some more information. For some of you, it may feel as though you're at a stalemate, but it's also in a very exciting stalemate. So you're having a lot of these not strange emotions, but these interesting emotions whereby you're confused, you're frustrated, but there's an elation there. There's an intense excitement, and there's just a lot of sort of the extremes coming up. So it might be a little confusing, but personal growth, absolutely. And the purple too, coming into the crown chakra and the third eye chakra. Again, working with those chakras will really help you, especially if you keep the foundation, keep yourself grounded in the first and second chakra. Information is available to you now that you can integrate in a way that will bring in these brand new and quite brilliant ideas. You see, you think outside of the box, and a lot of you have been in survival mode for so long that you do think outside of the box. You have these brilliant ideas, but you not always have the energy or the movement to be able to act on them. Or when you do, you've not been able to bring them quite into fruition the way in which you want to. Well, 2021 is about you bringing these outside, it's working outside of the circumference of what we know, really, and bringing all of these ideas to fruition. So you're being open to all of these brand new ideas. As they come in, don't worry about trying to focus on how to implement them, because some of you are getting sort of ahead of yourself a little bit and getting depressed. I have this idea, how will I make this work? I have this brilliant project, but how am I going to get it out there? Don't worry about the how. If this is speaking to you in this reading, don't worry about the how. We just want you to concentrate on the brilliant project and really set your ideals and your understanding and your energy energy on the project. Trust me, your guides are coming in to set up, to move you out into the world the way in which you want. You've always been sort of your own best friend, which is absolutely brilliant. So it's just a matter of you um, really inviting in these brilliant new ideas, but not worrying about how to implement them because you're getting overwhelmed with the implementing stage. Absolutely a rebirth with the 16 there. You've got a rebirth coming in, but again, it's not necessarily right now within this reading about the movement. It's about the energy that you have around what you're trying to put out there, around your ideas, having the confidence. Remember, you have the confidence to implement these ideas. We've got the candle here, we've got extra confidence with the cinnamon, we've got the enlightening up. We want you to be a little lighter, to really allow in these brilliant new ideas, that the world needs. You absolutely do need them. Now, you might have been terrified of these ideas before because they may not have quite fitted into the world before, and you recognize that and you're like, oh, I don't know if, I don't know if this is the right thing, if people want to hear this. You might have been quite nervous about putting them out there, and that's totally fine. But you are coming into a time where the world is ready for this, for all of your brand new outside of the box ideas. And because you don't see yourself in a lot of other people, in a lot of other situations, that's honestly just because, again, you're 20%. It's nothing to do with the ego. For those of you who realize that you're a highly sensitive person, it comes with the burdens, or sometimes the feeling of the curse, of being cursed, as well as being brilliant in many ways. But what you're here to do in this timeline right now is to really embrace the brilliance of who you are, and to make and to really utilize not just the brilliance, but the highly sensitive part. Learn how to integrate all of that fully, and learn how to put it all of your energy behind the brilliance that you have in this world. So let's see, we're going to do the wisdom of the Avalon cards here too. So we hope this is resonating, giving you some practical advice and at least some support. For those of you who are wondering what the hell is going on here. Yes, so you have the Grail Knight, romance illusion, seeking the sacred. Absolutely. For those of you who are in a moment where you are seeking the within, you are going within, that's totally fine. You don't need to be out there in the external world. In fact, you have guides that will help you put out all of these ideas and do whatever you need to do to get them out there. This is about you figuring out your own sense of illusion, what you needed to do and tell yourself in order to survive. Again, deep-rooted fears are coming up now, not to freak you out, but you're actually being able to see the root cause of them now and see where they came from. Some of it's external, some of it's coping mechanisms from the highly sensitive aspect of self. But again, your brilliant ideas are coming in. Allow them to really ruminate right now and put your energy and your confidence behind them, and know that, again, this too shall pass. And everybody coming in on the physical realm and the guide realm to help you get these situations focused and get all your information. And if you're creative, all of your work out there, you don't have to worry about how it's going to take off. So for those of you who have been worried, I don't know how to do this anymore, and again, going up into that brick wall, the way in which you did things before isn't working for you, again, don't focus on that. Focus on yourself. Focus about working through the illusions. You're starting to see all of it, how it all works, and how the fabric of society is coming together. Again, don't put yourself into the actual element of it and get yourself all worked up. It's playing out the way that it needs to. It doesn't need your energy in order to play out. It's playing out on its own. The record player is going. All you have to do is listen. You don't have to take it in. Be concerned with your own inner warriorship here, because it's being called on very soon to get out into the world. So of course we have our fairy deck here. Let's pull a couple, and again, a new profound sense of connection is coming in the actual world and with your guides too. So allow yourself this time to sort of dissipate, disappear within. Let your imagination fly. This is just your time to lighten up and see what's out there in your mind. Your imagination, absolutely. That's sort of a fairy tale sort of element. This practicality of everything needing to make sense right now really just moves through that sort of that masculine brain wanting to control everything and really just let everything just fall and see where it is. You're going to find so many great ideas and beauty, and you're going to find aspects of yourself that you gave away before in these moments, in these aha moments of just really letting your mind wander. Absolutely. Creation. That's exactly what is going on for you too. You're in a creative mode. You don't have to put it out there. You're in a creative mode. And appreciation. Yes, just work through the frustration and appreciate this creation mode. It's if you are getting frustrated, pull back your energy and don't get confused with how to put your energy out there right now. It's just about you getting being solidified in your own power. And knowing that the energy is there for you. This is a brilliant time for imagination and creativity. For those of you who are writing, go back to writing. Even if you don't want to go back to that book you were writing, journal writing at this time could be not just therapeutic for you, but it could be absolutely beautiful pieces of writing that you could publish later on. Normally, their thought processes, you just get them down, you dump them down, so you can get your mind a little freer. But for you, anything that you work on right now will have a sense of, will have this lyricism to it. It'll be really beautiful. Again, don't see it necessarily as something that you need to publish. Needs to have as much freedom to be itself as possible, but just allow yourself to be in this mode of not having anything to show for it per se, but letting in these beautiful new ideas, letting in this beautiful way of working in the world and setting your boundaries and your confidence, and really appreciating this new person that you are becoming, this new rebirth, as you are shifting and changing. You're shifting and changing your energy so much right now that you might feel as a little whiplash. You're feeling this way, you're feeling that way. Again, your emotionality is coming into it. Just go with the flow right now. It will even out. It absolutely will. And let's do one more fairy dust for you here to end this. I'm sorry that the sun is coming in, so half of this reading is it's really sunny over here and then a little bit darker over here, but that's Mother Nature for you. And then we have 4-leaf clovers. You have found a 4-leaf clover. Unlucky times will soon be over. Absolutely. This time is coming to an end. But, don't see it as like I'm hanging on and waiting for something to happen and shift. This is a very exciting time for you to really get in touch with this limitless potential that you have for thinking outside of the box and these beautiful energies that you have, and to go further than you've ever had before, because you're not in survival mode anymore. So enjoy them. Absolutely enjoy them. Remember, focus. Keep your first and second chakra level, focused, grounded, and work with your upper chakras just to get that peace of mind. Don't think about really putting yourself out there in the world. This is your inner time to really solidify who you're becoming and to really embrace that thinking outside of the box, beautiful portrayal of who you are. This will become very, very important in the next couple of months. So just enjoy this time that you have and enlighten up. Skip in the backyard. Do whatever you need to do. Get back to nature. Call in the energy of the fairies. We've been working with them today, but call in with them. Work with your elementals. They'll work with achieving all of these brilliant ideas that you have. So that's what I have for you. That's what we have for you, Pal One. I sincerely hope it resonated and we gave you some practical advice. So if it did resonate, feel free to give us a thumbs up and let us know in the comments below. We love hearing from you. And of course, feel free to subscribe and hit that bell icon. We'd love to have you here at the Unicorn Light Tarot. And of course, down below, we have all sorts of goodies for you too. We have 2 courses at the Unicorn School of Light. One of them is for free. It's Beyond Fear. If you feel as though you need that, it's a free 3-day course. Go ahead, get yourself on there. The link is below. And of course, we have the unicorn therapy, working through the chakras. Feel free to go through those meditations, whichever one you feel like you need. You don't have to do all of them. If one is calling to you, go ahead and do that one. And then we have the intuition and the oracle too. And we also have a Facebook page, a unicorn Facebook page that a lot of people are following. Thank you so much. Where we can keep in contact and keep everything beautiful and unicorn centric. And it's also a place that you can connect with other people, and a place that you can be for if you take any of these courses. So other places, other resources, we are there for you. Hang in there, pile one. But it's not even a case of hanging in there, because honestly, this is a beautiful time that you can carve out for yourself to really allow the gorgeousness that is you to come out into this bright light and be, free in a way that you've never been free before. So enjoy this time. Enjoy. If you start getting frustrated again, just pull your energy back into the present moment. That's all you need to do, and just be where you are. So until we meet again, pile one, go be you. Take care. Stay safe and sane. Bye-bye. Hello, pile two. If you chose the practice pile, then this is for you. Practice. After a while, you'll dance on air. Practice makes perfect. You're almost there. So this is your reading from the Enchanted Fairy realm. Let's get right into that. So you have the Ace of Wands. It's a beautiful card to start off with, and indeed to end with. And of course, we have Miss Lily here. We have the Prince of Autumn here, the Prince of Pentacles. Cautious but wise action, meticulous attention to detail, kindness to others. And then the Eight of Winter, the Eight of Swords. You have what it takes, if only if you believe in yourself. Thinking that you're powerless when you're not. A lack of self-confidence keeps you from getting what you want. Okay, so you're really being asked to step into this new understanding of who you are and who you've become. So here's the thing, for you, you've had experiences, a lot of experience in your life. You put yourself out there for experiences. Not all of them were good. A lot of them were shady, not so great. You've attracted some for the most part, you've attracted some very interesting people, and we'll leave it at that. There were lots of lessons for you to learn, right? But when you look back on your life, and you look back on how you were treated, and you look back on all the situations that you've been through, it's very easy for you, pile two, to see the sort of the negative, and to see the darkness in there too. I've been through so much. I've seen that. I've experienced that. People have treated me this way. And indeed, you were the sort of person that, these are general readings, but you were the sort of person who really did step up and do what they needed to do. You try to take responsibility for your actions as much as you possibly could. And when you couldn't do anything in that situation, you really did leave. You did whatever you could. You stepped up whenever you could. You apologized whenever you could. You try to make things better whenever you could. Of course, you've made those mistakes. Everybody does. But you try to remain as constant with being the best person that you could. And you did your very best to, when you started seeing circles in your life of the same sort of situations coming in, you tried your very best to shift that and to change that and to shift your perception. And even if there were times where you went through seemingly the same lesson, quote unquote, the same time, it was a division of the same lesson, but there was still stuff for you to learn. But you tirelessly worked through absolutely everything that you needed to do. And even when you've attracted people and, you knew things weren't right, and you owned up for whatever it is you did, and you try to bring it to the doorstep of the other person. And I want to work on this. This isn't great, but, I know that I did this. I'm sorry, but it's coming out of a place of, I'm frustrated because I feel like this is going on. Can we talk about it? Can we do this? It was either crickets, or they disappeared, or they didn't want to do it. They weren't in a position to stand up and do that. So when you look back, it's very easy for you to sort of judge yourself based on what you've been through, how people have treated you, and that can lead to a little bit of darkness and, dare we say, sort of depression when you look back. But we want you to sort of shift your perception here and see this very, very differently. Okay, so we're just going to give you an idea. You've been through so much. You put yourself into all these situations. Yes, you put yourself into a lot of situations where people didn't treat you that great, because you had this sort of martyr thing, real talk here, pal, too, where you wanted everybody to be okay, but to the point where you wanted everybody to be okay that you wanted to take on the troubles for them and heal them in that way. And this is something that you've had to learn. You've had to learn boundaries. You've had to learn that everybody has their own way of healing, that you can't save anyone. You've had to learn to sort of pull away and allow space. And you've had to learn how to put your energy first. It's not always felt great, but you've known that you've needed to do that. And sometimes it's felt utterly selfish, and it still doesn't feel 100% natural to do that, but you're getting a lot better at it, and at the very least you know that's what you need to do. But when you look back at all these experiences, and they all have something in common. They have the fact that, to a certain extent, and we're just going to use this word just so we can make our case point very clear. You've been the one in every single situation, to a certain extent, that's been exploited. So of course, when you look back, the common denominator is always going to be you. So for those of you who are looking back and wondering, what have I really done? What have I've been through all of this. People have treated me like this. What does that say? If I'm the common denominator in all of that, what does that say? Well, we'll tell you what it says. It says that you've allowed yourself to put yourself into so many different situations for the extent and for the experience of having the experience. There's nothing that you wouldn't put yourself through. You have this sort of courageous, beautiful aspect to yourself, even to the point where at times you wouldn't even have cared if you were destroyed. You wanted to see how far you could go. Yes, that did attract certain types of people. Yes, they did treat you a certain way. No, they weren't able to level up. All of this is true, absolutely. But you cannot, and repeat, cannot, in any way, shape, or form, try to figure out what you are worth based on how you were treated from these people because you wanted to put yourself into these situations. Now, what comes out of these situations is that you can really understand people from where they're coming from pretty much on every level, regardless of race, nationality, anything, because you put yourself into every single level, and work with all different kinds of people, and because you know what it's like to want to destroy yourself or bring yourself back from the brink. You don't have any instance where you are judging people. You meet people where they are. Now, this is something that comes from people who have done and put themselves into experiences and lived the way that you have. It's not an easy way to live. And this is what you're realizing. It's not an easy way to live. It's very difficult to live. And most people don't have the courage to do that. Very few people do, actually. And some people do it on a certain level, but they always pull themselves back because they have this sense of wanting to survive. But it's almost like you came from a certain aspect of your life where it's almost like you wanted to see if you could survive. You really put yourself out there in that way. Now, we want you to see this as courageous. We also want you to see this as, because you've been through all these experiences, you can now hold your own. You can now understand everybody from where they're coming from. It doesn't mean that you don't need boundaries. It doesn't mean that you need to take on that energy and try to heal them as you did before. You're not doing that anymore. You've learned that. You've learned those boundaries. You know what you're doing. You don't have to do that. But it does mean that you have a different perspective. You can see things from a higher perspective. You are able to see this. You are able to bring this energy into the world in a way that most people are. You are able to hold your own and still understand where somebody else is coming from. You still are able to hold this amount of empathy for others and still give them room and space to be who they are. And most importantly, Paul, too, you are able to give people the room to have their own experiences without having to project your version of their experience on their own experience, which is what happens time and time again with humans. Very few people give each other the chance to have their own experience. They have to filter it through their own sense of identity. And this is something that you don't do because of what you've put yourself through, right? Now, That's first part of it. So well done there. You have an essence of truth. And because of that, people trust you. And because of that, people want to be around you. And yes, some of those people in the past may have wanted to take advantage, but you're no longer there. You're not attracting those people anymore. So you making it, you putting, being hard on yourself when you look back on your life is not doing you any favors. You're not really understanding that that shift in perception, everything that you've been through has allowed you to come into this new brand new way of being. And that shift in perception means that you have a new outlook on life. And you would not have gotten that outlook on life that other people do not have had you have not put yourself through this. So judging yourself on your past is futile for you. So we want you to, instead of looking back and seeing all the darkness that happened, we understand that there was darkness there, and we're not trying to make light of it. We're not saying, it's great, it's great, just look at the brightness. No, absolutely not. Healing is very messy. It's very dangerous work in some ways. It's very deliberate work. It'll rip your heart out. It's embarrassing. It's messy. It's nasty. That's why most people don't do it. It's not for the faint of heart. Totally understand that. I understand why people don't want to heal. I understand why people continue to project and not want to look within. I get it. I really do. It's not easy work. And what you've done to heal is get to the crux of everything and really get in there. You've taken it, next level, next level, next level. You've gone to the highest level in the way in which you've done this, in the way in which you've healed or allowed yourself to bring stuff up. So we want you to acknowledge that. We want you to be happy and proud of yourself for doing that. We also want you to trust that because you've done this work, ironically, because you've been through all of these circumstances, you will no longer attract these people anymore that want to take advantage. You will attract the people who have also done the work like you, who will also appreciate a soul like you, who will want to work with you instead of, disappearing or crickets. People who will take responsibility for their life, which is something that you've not always had in around you. And if you have, you've had it speckled here and there, but it's not been a constant force in your life. People who take profound responsibility for where they are and who they are. So this is something that you've been willing to do. And yes, it's been lonely work. We understand that, and even the fairies practice. After a while, you're dancing in the air, practice make it perfect. You're almost there. This is the perfect message for you. Practice, practice, practice for you. You've been practicing your whole life to be able to be here. Everything you've done, everything you've been through has brought you to this moment. But this moment is beautiful if you just believe in yourself. Believe that everything that you've been through really has brought you to this place that can be fantastic from now on in. We want you to believe in all of your experiences and everything that you've done. Now, all of the experiences and the sort of tangents that life has taken you on sometimes means that you may not have finished projects, or you may not, for some of you, and again, this is a general reading, so if this part doesn't apply to you, that's fine. But for some of you, you might be feeling a little hard on yourself because you haven't achieved this and you haven't done this, and I should have done this 10 years ago, and I should have done that 10 years ago, because you were dealing and you were being a different way in the world. You were really allowing these deep experiences, which sort of pulled you out of sort of a mainstream way of doing things. Now, it's totally perfectly fine and understandable on every level that now you come to this point, you can breathe and look around and go, some of these things I wouldn't mind actually. Yeah, I mean, other people have done them. I've always gone sort of out of my way and been a little bit of a trailblazer, but I still want to do this, and I still want to do that, and I still want to do this. Perfectly natural. You are a little bit of a late bloomer, regardless of the age that you are. But you came in here to have a long life and do whatever it is that you needed to do. So just go ahead. Don't feel as though any of this is over, or that you've had a certain amount of time to get this done, and now that your time has run out, because that's totally untrue. We want you to stay in truth. We want you to understand that everything you've been through has meant that your energy is so much more in alignment that when you do reach for certain things that you want, be it what you call, quote unquote, mainstream or a slightly outside of the box, your energy is so aligned, you can pull it to you so much quicker, right? So the fact that you're showing up a little bit late to the game in some ways for some of you really makes no difference, because the rest of it's going to be easy. It's going to be effortless. You spent a lot of your time going through a lot of this stuff, and a lot of this stuff and all these experiences that you went through also brought up old karma and old wounds and old soul contracts that you needed to go through to release in order to be free. So you could get to the point in your life where everything is effortless. Now, not everybody does it this way, to go through everything that you've been through so you can have effortless later on. This is the way that you've done it, and you're an old soul, and there was a lot to do, there was a lot to contend with, there was a lot to deal with. There were, especially with the soul contracts, you had a lot of past life people that came in. You also came in to heal a lot of your family's bloodline. That's not small work. So you did have a lot of people who had the sort of similar traits that may have taken advantage, or weren't quite at the level that you were. And you were treated in a certain way, and these people were part of bloodline or past family, or past lives. These are soul contracts that you needed to go through. But all of those are gone now. Now, you may be noticing that people have just sort of left, either a mass exodus, or you've cut the cords, or now you're in this time where there could be a brand new beginning, because there really is a blank slate. Now, for those of you who are freaking out about the blank slate, don't worry about it. That's across the board. With this energy coming into 2021, that these are readings, they're general readings, they're collective readings too. So especially in the last couple of months, really feeling as though the piles all have a distinct energy, but there's a sort of a timeline, there's an energy that's very similar in some ways to some of them, but they're definitely different enough to like want to pick one pile and stay with it. So you have that in common with pile one, with a sort of the clean slate, but you've worked to get this clean slate. We want you to believe in who you are, and believe in the way in which you got to where you are too. There's hidden gems, and there's secrets to be revealed, and there's beauty and energy to be revealed in and around, behind the closed doors of situations that you've been through, that will be coming up for you. If they're not coming up right now, they will be coming up probably after this reading, but in and around this time will be coming up for you, where you'll be able to make these connections with situations and people that you've been through. Oh my God, they represented this. Oh my God. And it'll be clear as day, and it will seem so simple. Everything will fall into place, and in that falling into place, everything will just release, and you'll be clear and free of that energy once and for all. And it will be so clear and free that you'll almost question and say to yourself, why didn't I get that 10 years ago? I don't understand why I didn't get that 10 years ago. One aspect of yourself got it 10 years ago, but it's just these huge aha moments coming in for you, allowing for this release. So breathe into that, reach into that as you get this clean slate that's coming up. And all we want you to do in this clean slate is to really believe in the confidence that you have, and the beauty and the path that you took. The path that you took is going to pay off big time in this lifetime, with how you are with people, how you make people feel, how you heal with people. This is absolutely in your future, and it's a very, very, very powerful method that you have for healing, for being in and around people. And it's just by being present and just by listening. Now, it sounds really simple. Very few people listen in the modern world, and especially in the last year, probably because everybody's trying to be heard. Totally understandable, no judgment. But for you, this is much more than just being sympathetic. This is just a method of healing. You actually listen to people. You're not trying to figure out what to say next. Again, you give space to people's experiences, and through that, people will be able to heal. You have a new sort of mentorship way in which you work with people, a new level of sort of therapy, whereby therapists can work for some people. That's wonderful, but they don't always work. And as we're coming into this new alignment energy of 2021, dragging up the old is not necessarily how we're going to do this. So therapy doesn't work for everyone, but the way in which you will work with people, you can actually come into a new method of healing for people by being present. Now, this is something that you can do one-on-one, you can do in groups. This is something that you can do through your writing. This is something that you can do through music. This is something that you can do through creativity, or add on to whatever it is that you do if you're a nurse, if any kind of healing practitioner. But this is what you will bring to the forefront, and this is what is needed. All right, Lily. Oh, she's getting comfy. So this is what is needed, and this way of working with people is going to be such a profound way of healing. Simple in some ways, and people will be frustrated that they won't be able to do it anywhere near the way that you will be able to do it, because you've been through all these experiences. So all of these experiences coming in, giving you this clean plateau, this brand new beginning. As you move forward, it will become very clear why you needed to go through all of that you did. And again, none of these people are coming back into your life. If they do, they will be with new soul contracts and with firmer boundaries. So things will be and will feel different from the very beginning. And you still have a right to say, I don't need you in my life, and you will say it the way that you want to say it. It doesn't have to be like that. But all we're saying is that your energy is protected, and you won't be going back and reliving any of those old past moments, because you don't need to now. But those old past moments have come into sort of fruition in a way that really brings you into who you are and blossoms you as a person, because you've seen things and experienced things that most people haven't. So you've seen the darkness. You know what that feels like. So you know what it feels like to be judged. You know what fear feels like. You understand fear. You've often used fear and kept it close as a way to sort of, as a guide in a way. You've worked within the darkness and within fear in a way that most people do not. Most people keep it away, or they work with it in a projection method. But you've taken it in, you've looked at it. So this is a very significant way for you to be in the world to help others. So as you have this clear space, we really want you to take in all of that beautiful essence from your past, and have that self-confidence, pull that self-confidence. I did survive that. I did do that. I know how to work with people. I am genuinely a good person. I am doing my best to be responsible for all of my energy. I am going to give my energy to good people from now on in. I'm going to do whatever I need to do to hold space for people who are still struggling. And I can do that without giving too much of my energy. And that's something that you've had to learn too, where you begin and other people stop. Those boundaries of wanting to take on and wanting to help too much. You've had to really strengthen your own preserve here and reserve as you move forward. And this is something that you're doing now. So let's see what we have with the numerology cards here for you. Completion, absolutely. You have, this new space that you've gathered for yourself, it is a sense of completion. So 9, we have the number 9 here. We want you to see it as a time of completion, not as a time of frustration and wondering if it will keep, you'll still keep getting mirror images of the past. No, you've definitely come into your own here. But in that completion, we want you to look back and almost give yourself permission to celebrate all that you have, and have a ceremony. You graduated and you've learned everything you can from your past. So yeah, and there's no reason to go back into the past and get dragged down by it. Remember, allow those aha moments to come in so you can really solidify what the past meant for you, so you don't need to relive it anymore in your mind. Nature, obviously going back into nature, and also going back into those moments when you're feeling frustrated and you don't know how to move forward. Going back into the small actions of your day, coming back into that moment and celebrating who you are in that very moment. Really just taking all of this big stuff. You've been dealing with big picture stuff so often and so much in your life that it's been difficult for you to come back into the present moment. because you've always got like one foot here, one hand here, one finger here outside of this, that, and the other. So we're asking you to come back and celebrate those small moments and celebrate you being you in those small moments. And in those small moments, you'll get the aha moments. And in those small moments after the aha moments, you'll get very firm, clear, extreme clarity about your next move. So bear with it, but we definitely want you to understand that you're dependable, that you're loyal, that you're beauty. Even if you want to like sit down and actually write down all of the traits that you have, and all of the traits that have been expressed through everything that you've been through and have been pronounced because of everything that you've been through, write them down so you can really see how gorgeous you are. There is movement coming in. There's absolute movement, and it's going to be quick. So this is your time to really sort of regroup after you've been through everything, to regroup, allow for those aha moments, and sit with your intuition, because when you move forward, it's going to be swift. Absolutely. Trust. Now, we totally understand with the trust. We've got the cow here: nourishment, abundance, asking, receiving. Absolutely. Again, learning that asking, receiving, that balance. Before, you were around takers and you were the one that gave. So, learning that balance, working with the energy of the universe, again, trusting the universe as they kept giving you the same lessons, or the same people, or, this darkness, there was this tendency to distrust the universe and therefore yourself. But everything that you've been through, again, when you see it through the lens of everything that you needed to go through, you can now see that you needed to go through this, and it taught you so much beauty. So coming out of this, you can really regain and rebuild that trust within yourself to listen to who you are, because you have impeccable intuition, and regain that trust with the universe, who or your guides, and your Godhead, God, Jesus, the universe, the goddess, whomever you think. It's all in the same. It's all in the same. So, you might have been mad at them at times, because you could have seen yourself in this sort of circuitry effect, going round and round and round. Why can't I get out of this? Because there was more to learn. But you're out of that cycle now. You're in the completion. So regain that trust with yourself. Again, things are going to move very swiftly forward. So allow this time to go back and celebrate you and everything you've been through. So I just picked this up, and at the bottom, that really, really sat with me. Reward and future. Absolutely. With everything that you've been through, you will see these rewards coming in, and they will be bountiful, because you've been working towards them your entire life. So please allow this time to celebrate you and everything that you've been through, and all of the traits that have been strengthened throughout because of everything that you've allowed yourself to be in. And don't expect your future to look anything at all like it did before. So you can't even judge it from your past. So let it be, and sit in that self-confidence, and the traits that you have and you've explored and you've really put to the forefront and you've honed in on are the traits that you need to align yourself to be in the world the way that you need to be and you want to be, and the way in which the world needs you. So let's do one more fairy dust here. This one's poking out. Let's see what we've got here. Learn. A little nudge. It's now your turn to put on your thinking cap. It's time to learn. Absolutely. We talked about that. Time to learn everything. Let everything fall in its place that you've gone through, so you can really gain all the subject matter, all the beauty, all the lessons, or the gorgeousness, and sit in that prosperity of who you are. And who you are is golden and beautiful. You've blossomed into this absolutely beautiful person who really understands and feels and empathizes, and this is exactly the sort of person we need in this world right now and in the future. And you've allowed yourself, in all spites of things, in everything that you've been through, you've allowed yourself to become that person. It's absolutely glorious. I mean, you really are the lotus flower, growing so much beauty from the mud. So please just sit there. Sit in that trust with the universe. Sit in that beauty of who you are. Celebrate everything that you've been through, and what you've come out of, and what you changed and blossomed into. It's absolutely gorgeous. Bring back that confidence. Bring back that gorgeousness. That experience is going to change your life. Allow for those aha moments, and watch as your life really does take off very, very quickly. This is just a respite for you. This is not a stage that you will stay in for very long. So just hopefully we've helped you through some of the confusion, or maybe some of the frustration. But if you're at the point where you're seeing that light at the end of the tunnel and you're seeing these new opportunities coming in, remember that you deserve every single one of them. Don't you dare say, I don't know if I can handle this. You can handle anything with everything that you've been through. So that's what we have for you, Paul, too. We sincerely hope that that resonated with you. Feel free to give us a thumbs up or let us know in the comments if that resonated. We love to hear from you. And of course, hit that subscribe button and that bell icon and become part of the Unicorn Light Tarot. Folks, come hang out with us a couple times a week. And don't forget, there's lots of other things that we have down below. We have the Unicorn School of Light. We have our 21 days working with the unicorn, getting your magic back. And we also have a free course, Beyond Fear, if you feel as though that's something for you. We also have unicorn therapy, working through all the chakras, meditations, healings. And we also have intuition and the oracle. It's a 5-day course. Those are free. Anything that you feel like you need to support and give you space and love at this point, we are absolutely here for you. Go be you. Please, please, please understand. If you could just see yourself in any way, the way that we see you through divine eyes, you would never doubt yourself again. Sending so much love and light to you, Pal 2. Take care until we meet again. Bye-bye. Okay, Pal 3. Last but not least. So your beautiful fairy dust, your message is peace, friends and family, and those who care. Peace is yours today to share. So that is for you, your first message from the enchanted messages from the fairy realm. Let's get you some more messages here. So your first card is the Sun, gorgeousness, plans that work out perfectly, amazing ideas that lead to rewards and commendations. Gratitude for the blessings of life. And we have the Queen of Spring here, the Queen of Wands, and it's reversed. Believe in yourself. Wonderful people want to help you maintain a balance between work and home life. Brilliant, loyal, talented, friendly. This is in reverse. And Harvest. Oh, love this. So as we've said, and definitely notice this, this is for the fairy folk, something shiny. We always say that, even though these are general readings, and then on top of that, we slice them down into like pile 1, 2, and 3 to get you some more direct readings. But we're also reading from the collective, and people are usually going through something that's going on in the collective. The collective's been more pronounced in the last year and a half. So it's not unreasonable to believe or to know that, pile 1, 2, and 3 will have some crossover, or will have different energy, but we'll definitely have a similar sort of aspect to it. So you have something in very much in line with pile 1 and 2. And I do feel as though, especially for you, pile 3, if you wanted to go back and check in with pile 1 and 2, that's up to you, because you might get some other pieces of the missing puzzle, because it's all sort of the same about coming in to your own energy and having confidence within that energy and really understanding. Oh, here's Lily. Lily, okay, come on. Yeah, she's definitely been present here. She's always loved fairy energy, so I don't doubt at this point that with the fairy energy that we're channeling today, that she's going to be in and around it. So the bright and the beautiful aspect of you, that is you, allowing that to shine in all situations, without fear of repercussions or anything, or anything that you might be worried about. That's what you're coming into. There's a gorgeousness in you, coming into your self-confidence, very much like pile 2. Also, you might have something again in common with pile 2, but really believing in who you are and what shaped you in this lifetime. There's a celebration of you coming in and believing in that. everything that you've achieved thus far is just the beginning of what you will achieve. The biggest thing that you're going to achieve, and it's going to be coming in and around you very soon, is peace. Not surprisingly that you came up with this, that you chose this for pile 3. There is a peace and a justice and a sense of self, a sense of security that you've never really truly had. Now, at times you've had it outside of yourself. There's people and situations that have come into your life that have felt secured, and you allowed yourself to sort of breathe a little easier in those circumstances, and you've been very grateful for them. But what's been quite difficult for you, pile 3, is to create that sense of safety within you wherever you go and whatever you do. And that's partly because you've been so open, you've taken in the opinions, you've taken in so many other people's energies, that it would be good for you to do a cleansing of everybody else's energy and come back to who you are. We can assure you that the doubts that you feel about yourself, maybe not being quite good enough or experienced enough to achieve what it is that you want to achieve, or if you do believe, most of you do believe that you are talented enough, but wondering if you have the energy to attract it, if you'll ever be in a sense of peace to attract it from the alignment and not being in control of your situation, whether you will ever have the kind of energy that will attract it into your life, whether you'll ever be lucky enough. So we want to address that. The idea of luck is a matter of frequency, and it's a matter of energy, which brings it back to who you are and who you believe you are. Your frequency, first of all, is a lot higher than you realize it is. You are hard on yourself, and we wish that you weren't as hard on yourself. But if you actually took away the hardness that you felt for yourself, you would see this real divinity. Now, everybody is a child of God. Everybody has that divinity. But we use these different masks in life in order to sort of quote unquote survive and move through the world. And for you, you've used a lot of those masks because you never really truly believe that you fit into the world. So you put yourself into certain situations, and you almost like a chameleon. You're very good at what you did in order to sort of mask your emotions. And even though you're extremely emotional, you have a lot of emotionality, but you're able to cut things off, cut people off, and get through and get through the situations, wearing a mask and different masks in order to get through it because you felt like you needed to. And this is something that you've been able to do throughout your life, and something that you felt as though you had to do because you weren't really born for this kind of world. And even though you didn't really believe in the aspect of, like, if you went into I keep thinking like the service industry, or jobs that you've taken in the past, you've never, not always you've wanted to be there, but you felt as though you could make it work, and you'll make it work, and this is how we'll do it. And you build up that mass, you build up that wall in order to be able to do it. You've never really allowed for the profound sensitivity that you have. Just like the energy of, didn't feel this energy exactly in pile 2, but in pile 1, we talked about highly sensitive people. This could be you. These are general readings, but this could be you. Now, highly sensitive person is beyond just being an emotional person or having a lot of emotionality. It's beyond being an empath. This is the sort of, first, there are only 20% in the world, 20% of the population, and there's many more empaths, many more. This is the highest division of being an empath. It's like overstimulus, like getting on a plane with a ton of people in a small circumstance like that is overwhelming for you because there's so many energies. Getting on a bus, being in a crowded room, all of that's way too much. Like, empaths have a problem with that anyway, but with certain techniques they're able to deal with it, or they're able to, like, all right, I can shut down, I can do this for a little while. It's not my favorite thing to do, but I can absolutely get it done. For highly sensitive people, it could be almost impossible. Like, it becomes like some sort of curse. Now, being able to project that and be able to bring that back, they also have a gorgeousness about the world, the way in which they see things. Their sense of perception is usually vastly different. And in some cases, they're absolute geniuses, and they tend to see what the world needs before the world know it needs it, and they tend to provide it ahead of time. And this is for most of you who are resonating here, this is who you are. So the fact that you had to shut yourself down in order to live in the world almost makes me want to cry, because there's certain sacrifices that you needed to make. But as a highly sensitive person, that came as a huge cost to you that would have been more than other people. So the fact that you're here is absolutely, truly amazing. And the fact that you've put yourself into those situations, no matter what you needed to do in order to quote unquote survive or get through it, doesn't matter. The fact that you were able to do it and come out on the other side, even remotely alive, is absolutely incredible. Not a lot of you, again, general reading, not a lot of you had a lot of support for highly sensitive and the emotionality. A lot of people might have thought you were intense or intimidating, or judged you for being that kind of emotionality, or really not understood, or even downright avoided you. Whatever it was, you didn't really get the support. And as you were growing up, you may not have gotten the support because they just didn't know how to support you. You weren't just an emotional child, you were highly sensitive. It's, again, very different. So it's, unless you know how to sort of work with somebody who is a highly developed child, then they wouldn't have known, even if they were highly developed themselves, or highly sensitive, would say, highly sensitive themselves in and around them, they would have done whatever they need to do to sort of knock it out and get on with it. So they wouldn't have known how to help you either. And then you were born into this very systematic world that had these social norms that were not in alignment with who you were as a highly sensitive person. So, every day could have been quite painful for you at certain times in your life to be able to sort of survive. But this peace that you are feeling, this beauty that you are feeling, the beauty of the world now is it's now shifting to really have this influx of the highly emotional and the highly sensitive person, where they could be revered, where they weren't really understood before. They're starting to be understood. And those traits in which that you have, that you may have seen as a curse, will actually be a precursor to where we're going in this lifetime. So it's no surprise to us at all that you chose to come down. And yes, you did choose to come down in this generation, in this particular lifetime, as this was going on. This was all planned. And everything that you went through before to be able to work within the world, all of that information, all those experiences can be poured into who it is that you become and how you help people in the future. Because even if you work with highly sensitive people in the future, you will have to have known the experiences that they went through and how they had to mask, and the fear that they lived in one way or another, to be sort of discovered. Some of you actually try to shut it down or hide yourself. Oh, empath is one thing. That's bad enough. I don't want to be a highly sensitive person on top of that. I'll do this, to help myself through it, or I'll do this to mask it, or I'll do this. Or, some of you could have gone to the other extreme where you shut down emotionally in order to survive. So you're coming out of all of this, and there's this whole sort of like flooding in of all these emotions. But before, where now you've had these times before where these emotions would flood in if you shut them down, and they were extremely emotional and they were extremely overwhelming. And because you'd shut them down and you were a highly sensitive person, you really didn't know how to deal with them. So they were worrisome for you. Some of you could be like, bordering on sort of hypochondria. It's not that you're not, it's just you're so in touch with your body. You process information so deliberately in such a way that you feel everything that's going into your body and everything that you are. So it's more important for you than anyone else to eat well and sleep well and do all of these things that we need to do anyway and nourish our body. But for you, it's absolutely something that you needed to do. And you may have gotten into sort of nutrition, or you may have, through other people, but you may have done that a little earlier than other people. They get to a point where like, oh, I got to start eating healthy now. You may have done that beforehand as a sideline, or been in and around people where you're like, because your body knew instinctively that you needed to do that to look after yourself. Even in some ways, if self-care was lacking in other ways, because you're not highly sensitive people, they don't always know how to look after themselves. Self-care is regulating and it's wonderful for them. And you will come into that, but it's not always the first case scenario where you do that self-care for yourself. So coming into who you are, really allowing in this emotionality where it's not overwhelming anymore, where it fits and it makes sense. And you're like, oh my goodness, I really am. And I urge you to look up a highly sensitive person, because it's not just an empath at all. It's way beyond that. It's something that you should look up and see if you identify with it too. Um, and again, it's only 20% of the population, and you should probably go back to pile one and see if any of that resonates. It may or may not, but it was also a reading for highly sensitive, but it had, again, a very specific kind of energy to it. So if it doesn't resonate, it doesn't. But if you're called to, and your intuition tells you to go seek out pile one, you might want to, and maybe even pile two. But what you're coming into is a profound sense of peace, and you really deserve it, pile three. You really do. Everything that you've done and everything that you've had to do in order to survive, you're coming into thriving mode. So when this beautiful emotionality comes in and it affects you differently, and you're like, oh, I'm not off kilter. I can still do this. This is amazing. And you're drawing your energy, you're drawing your magnetism, because you have a lot of it, and you're drawing your beauty and your power from your emotionality by embracing it at its roots without shutting it down, by saying, yes, that's exactly who I am. Now I am exactly who I am. Let's explore who I am. Let's get into that intense vulnerability that you know like no other. Let's get into that, because when you feel things, you feel things. Oh my goodness. I mean, your downs can be really down and your highs can be really high. I mean, some of you might even looked into being like bipolar at times, because they're so extreme. Your moods, you're like, this doesn't seem right. I'm one way this way and I'm one way this way. I mean, people have their ups and downs and they fluctuate, especially if you're empath and you have emotionality. But the way in which you had it was like, what the F, right? So allowing all of these fluctuations to come in, not overwhelm you, really at your core, just taking everything in and really accepting it at a core level gives you this intense power, this beautiful grounding that you've never had before, to be able to see yourself in this light of confidence. This is who I truly am. I'm not shutting down anymore. I'm not asking for your permission. I'm not trying to survive. I'm not putting myself into these situations I don't need to. I'm not putting up with your crap. I'm not doing any of this anymore. I'm not doing it. I'm done. I'm absolutely done. And in that, you see the sun. You see who you truly are. And what you've had to endure in a way, and this is very similar to Pal 2, brings you to who you are. It made you who you are, and that's wonderful, but you don't need to go back there now. So that confidence, that brilliance, that loyalty, that talented, yes, you're friendly, not even friendly, you're just, not only that, you're magnetic, you're mysterious, you're beautiful, people want to be around you, you're gorgeous, you're attractive. Just believe in yourself. So we're going to turn this Queen of Spring, this Queen of Wands up here, because that's what you're doing. You're turning it on its side. And your reward, if we want to call it a reward, is peace. It's this beauty, it's this gorgeous peace that you have of just knowing. You're not fighting, you're not surviving, you're not looking over your shoulder, seeing what you need to protect yourself from next. It's just this peace of knowing. It's not, really rushing to get to the end, or how will this work out, or pushing to get to where you need to be. It's this effortless, I've got this now. Let's see what comes to me. It's this beautiful time for you. And it's just this breathing, and you absolutely deserve this. Again, the harvest, pull it in. You absolutely deserve this. You've done everything to get to this point. And it's a brand new plateau for you. And of course, the beauty of this is there's so many talents and gorgeousness that comes with the highly sensitive person. When we're not in survival mode, we're able to pull those out and see what they are. And again, the world needs them. They're always outside of the box, and they're bordering on genius. So, whatever it is, and that's the other thing. Before, you had an element of that before, but that could have made you feel as though even more on the outside, right? My ideas aren't really the same as everybody else. Yeah, I kind of know I'm a trailblazer, but that doesn't make me feel any better. Well, you weren't just a trailblazer, you were a highly sensitive being. That's slightly different. So of course there's not as many people like you out there, and they're all trying to survive and do whatever they need to do. So there's not been a lot of people that gravitate to each other, but that's all changing. um, you're a beautiful soul family that's really coming to you in 2021. There's spurts of them in and around you. Like you've met certain people and certain types, and you know they exist out there. But these people that are coming to you, they're going to be work colleagues. They're going to people that you work with. They're going to be highly sensitive beings too, and to be looked at like you're not crazy. To be looked at like somebody else really knows what you're going through. It's I just my heart's opening for you right now. Got tears in my eyes for you. Absolutely. Moderation. You've never been really in a position before to do moderation because you're on the go, go, go. And when you have to shut down or you're in survival mode, there's those extremes that you need to do. I need to do this, so I need to do that. And I, you know, in order to do this, I need to do this. So there's not been a lot of peace around your decisions, or the living through those decisions. The moderation, the balance of coming in from your energy is wonderful. And that's another thing. I mean, you're very high energy anyway, but you can get exhausted, and there's no wonder with the way that you expel energy. So the way in which your energy is working, you might be feeling a little exhausted around this time, but that's because your energy is still kind of building up. But you'll get to that plateau of peace where you'll have a lot more energy. And some of you may have realized that you do have, your energy has been shifting, whereas before you needed a lot of coffee in the morning. Now maybe for some of you can't drink caffeine anymore. You're still not quite as up as you need to be or you want to be, but your body won't take that caffeine anymore. I know that's a personal thing that's happened for me too, this year, or I should say last year. My energy shifted so much that I wouldn't say that I didn't need coffee anymore, but I couldn't take it anymore. My energy was working differently. So the way in which your energy works allow for those, how they sort of mirror, reflect in your life. I certainly have enough energy during the day. I don't feel as awake as coffee makes me feel or used to make me feel, but I don't need it anymore. So there's a lot of things that you may feel as though, um, you know, a lot of these crutches that you had before will fall away naturally. And that's just a sign that you're moving into a new plateau of energy. So that's all good. Happy ending, absolutely. And we could not have asked for a happy ending for a better person. You deserve this. You absolutely do. And that's why we put the Queen of Wands upright. We want you to know that this is time for your harvest. You have your harvest. You have your happy ending. It's coming in. The struggles are over. They're absolutely over. And the way in which we can say that is because the way in which you're working with your energy, the way in which you are now in alignment and not in control anymore, that release allows you to really get up there in the frequency and attract everything that you want at will. And it's not that you've not been working for it. You have. You absolutely have. But you get to work completely on your own terms now, which is so exciting. So we've got the Wisdom of the Avalon cards here. This is such a lovely reading for you, Pile 3. You're so disruption, absolutely. Constantly before, and then we have the Raven. So this is your magic, coincidence, and synchronicity. Oh, you know what I mean. Synchronicity. Oh, wow. Why can I not see that word right now? Events. So this is before your ups and downs. Everything was a little bit of a struggle, or you had to work extra hard to get to what you needed to do. Or the other thing that you did is that you put so much of your energy into it. You overworked it, which is totally fine. You're very loyal. When you've decided and committed to something, you give your all in, even though you may not commit that often. When you do, you're in. So it's coming from sort of the ups and the downs, like we said, with that frequency going backwards and forwards, almost like two energy pulling on each arm, and you're just trying to move forward in the wind. That's kind of how it is, to how you are being in your own sense of self. This true acceptance, which creates this foundation at your core, which is truly exciting, with the peace, being in alignment, not being up, not these extremes, ups and downs anymore, not having those masks in the world anymore, which is kind of ironic because we're wearing masks in the world right now, right? But not wearing them. I'm not suggesting that you don't. I mean, be safe wherever you are, do whatever you need to do. But like the metaphorical mask, right? And that's kind of what we are looking at. That's what we're seeing out in the world, playing out in the world. You'll be taking it all off. Again, the physical one, do whatever you need to do to stay safe. But your magic, everything's coming in. And you used to be one of magic, coincidence, synchronicities coming in. And you used to love all of that. But, so much energy went into surviving that it wasn't always easy to keep that plateau, that way of being. Now this way of being is coming right back to you. And this is the natural way for you to be. And again, the world is shifting. So, the celebration of you and who you are is just gorgeous. This mysterious beauty that you are, you have something that people want. And and you've always been like that, but they also, there was an element they either wanted to exploit it or they didn't want to accept every aspect of you. And the highly sensitive being, there's some tough parts that you already know about. They wanted to take the good, pluck that out, and not want to deal with the other stuff. And this is something that you chose to do for yourself too, because that was your example. You didn't always integrate all aspects of yourself. You didn't. You saw the good stuff, you liked that, but then you hid other parts of yourself. Again, the mask. Pulling all of that in, accepting every aspect of yourself at that core, gives yourself so much power and the leeway to go in any direction in the world. Leap. Absolutely. It's your time to leap. The fairies say it, we say it, your heart says it. It's your time to leap and have that faith that came up to. We're going to put that up because you haven't always had that faith. You were dealing with so many ups and downs and so, differences with your energy, the extremes in your energy, having that faith. And again, some of you may have seen it as a curse. You could have been angry with yourself. You could have been angry at your guide. Why am I like this? Why couldn't I be, normal? There is no normal for you, and that's okay. You weren't here to be normal. You just weren't. So, turning that faith around so you can work with your guides again, work with your own soul. Your soul knows absolutely everything. All of our souls do, but you're in a position to be completely in line with it. You'll know your next move. You'll know where to go. You'll know everything. You'll be able to increase that luxury that you want coming into your life. Take that leap. Do that now. Profound acceptance on all levels. And all of the drawbacks that you saw with being highly sensitive will be coming in as traits that will be absolutely revered. And that will be coming in. That shift in consciousness has already started, but you'll be able to see the external exploits of that one way or another in our physical world very soon. So hang in there and just connect back to your own power and just know that the beauty that you are, absolutely wonderful. It's all coming for you now. That happy ending. Celebrate. The time is right to shout out loud. Don't hesitate to jump around. This is your time to celebrate. This is your happy ending. Absolutely. This is your time. If you're not feeling like you're right at the celebratory phase just yet, promise you it's coming. Get right back into securing your soul and every aspect of self-acceptance. And again, if you need a little extra help, maybe shoot back over to pile 1, see if that resonates. If it doesn't and you got what you needed from this, that's great too. But remember, the Queen of Spring, the Queen of Wands here, of Staves, brilliant, loyal, talented, and friendly. Believe in yourself. Wonderful people want to help you maintain a balance between work and home life, making the choices that you want. This is absolutely you, believing in that, bringing in all of that energy, stabilizing it. Everything that and everyone that's not going to work for you right now is just going to fall away. Allow it, because great people, great situations are coming in effortlessly, and you have earned this. Celebrate yourself, celebrate every aspect of who you are, because, again, weren't celebrated before for who you are necessarily, or at least in your most complete form. So you do it first, the world will follow, and that is a promise. So that's what we have for you, Pal 3. Sincerely hope that, and congratulations. Sincerely hope that it resonated. If it did, feel free to give a thumbs up and let us know in the comments below. Love, love, love hearing from you guys. And of course, subscribe and hit that bell icon if you want to be part of the Unicorn Light Tarot family here on the internet. We would love to have you. And of course, there are many other ways to work with us too. We have the Unicorn School of Light. Work with the unicorns for 21 days. Get that magic back into your life. It's badass. It's a great little course. And we also have Beyond Fear. That's a free course, but you need to go to the Unicorn School of Light to get on that. 3 days if you feel as though you need that. A little help and support for all you empaths out there. And of course, don't forget we have the unicorn therapy for your chakras. If you need a little help, healing, activation, cleansing, release, whatever, go ahead and check out that series. And we also have Intuition and the Oracle 5-day video series, not just working with the Oracle, but with your intuition, bringing in that divine feminine. And we also have, don't forget, this is important too, our Facebook group down below for the unicorns, all things unicorn. So anytime you take a course or anything, and other things to stay in contact with other unicorn folks, then that is a Facebook group too. So many other ways to get support and feel as though you are not alone, because you are not. Pile 3, you are the best. Highly sensitive person, give yourself a hug. We're doing it for you now. Big group hug. Yeah, virtual hug. Lily's giving you a hug too, aren't you, Lily? Big hug. Yeah, she just closed her eyes, which means yes. All right, my darling, stay safe and sane until we meet again, pal 3. Bye bye.